Last week, my fiancé's friend, I don't know which one, hosted a holiday get-together that I immediately did not want to go to, but kept to myself because I know how much my fiancé loves her girlfriends. I don't have a problem with her girlfriends, it's their partners that make me angry. For background, each of them has tried to connect with or befriend me over the years, and each time I've shot them down as bluntly as possible. I have my own group of friends and I don't want more. I smile and keep everything surface level in person, because I know my fiancé loves these get-togethers. On the first night, we all met and exchanged numbers. I blocked them once more they each tried to text or call me. They added me on Snapchat and added me to their group chat. I again blocked all of them and left the group chat. They added me to a group chat on Instagram, again blocked them all and left the group chat. Twitter, X, blocked. Facebook, blocked. Emails, blocked. They invite me to their boys' night through my fiancé. Stern no every time. So at the get-together, the 7 of us, me and 7 partners, sat in the living room while the ladies cooked and talked. They were in their own conversation about the election, football and whatever, and I was just smiling and nodding. One of them made a joke about me being quiet. I tried to laugh it off, but he kept pressing it, so I left and hid in the bathroom until the food was ready. During the dinner, the partners kept digging into me as usual, trying to get me to open up, asking me about my work, hobbies, proposal story, and wedding plans. I gave the same surface-level answers as always, but for some reason, they weren't having it. Then everyone except my fiancé started yelling at me for some reason, saying that I'm such an idiot and what's wrong with me, and that I act like I'm better than them. So I obviously yelled back at them, I don't know you and don't want to get to know you. Leave me alone. I don't know any of your names. I don't care to know your names. Friends-in-law isn't a thing, and just because our partners are friends, that doesn't make us friends. This is the line, stop trying to cross the line, stop approaching the line and back away from the line. Everyone stay arm's length away from me. Then I threw the car keys on the table and took a lift home. When my fiancée came home the following morning, she looked like she'd been crying. I've never seen my fiancée angry or disappointed and sad. I tried apologizing to her, but she called her dad to help her get her stuff from our place, and I had no clue where he drove her and where she was staying. My calls go to voicemail and my texts are delivered. Am I the idiot for telling my fiancé's friends that we aren't friends? Oh boy, you are the idiot. And if you can type all that out and not see it, I can't help you here. Like, holy heck, dude. I'm an antisocial introvert, but I would never think of being so intentionally rude to people who are actually trying to get to know me. You handled every bit of that horribly, but you probably won't have to worry about them talking to you anymore because it seems like your fiancé has seen your true colours and run for the hills. Yeah, you didn't even make an effort to get to know these people, but they felt it was important to make you feel included and seen. It's clear these people are important to your fiancé and you were a giant idiot to them. Like, you aren't even a decent human being. Imagine if your fiancé treated your friends that way. Don't be surprised if your fiancé breaks off the engagement after this. You have extremely concerning antisocial behaviour and you need therapy. She already broke off the engagement. Why else would she have her dad help her get her things? To quote the wisdom of the Spice Girls, if you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. OP, you are the idiot, so get ready to be alone. I don't know how a single woman, including myself, would tolerate such hateful behaviour aimed at my friendship group. This relationship is over for sure. You're not fit to date, let alone marry. Yep, this guy is so antisocial that he looks for reasons to dislike everyone, and he has no clue what the boundary actually is. I guarantee he's the same kind of person who weaponized therapy speak to get his way. He's the kind of idiot who says another person is trauma dumping on him if they tell him something affecting them, like a broken TV that doesn't relate to his wants or needs. You are the idiot, hugely. My nearly adult female birthday was a few days ago. While I was opening the presents, I noticed Dad seeming super excited, almost like he was waiting for a reaction over a gift. I opened the card from him and it had tickets for a concert. I was super confused as I didn't recognize the band's name. Clearly Dad noticed this and tried to hype me up over it. I then had to do the rude thing and ask Dad who the band was. He said, "You listen to them all the time," and I had to tell him I didn't know who they were. Dad got quite upset with me and told me to stop messing around with him, and I looked so confused. Turns out I have a few songs on my Spotify and have listened to them before, but I'm not a huge fan. Dad seemed to have caught me listening to them, and without asking, just assumed I was a fan and brought me tickets. He didn't pay to get the refunded tickets, and the band hasn't sold out yet, so he probably can't resell the tickets. He brought me 2 tickets so I could take a friend. Yeah, I know nobody who likes them, so I couldn't invite anyone. He's tried to tell me to go anyways as he can't get a refund, and I'm not sure about going because I'm not really a fan and wouldn't enjoy myself. Edit, Dad doesn't want to attend the concert with me as he doesn't like the band. Girl, when I was a kid I bought my dad a t-shirt with puffins on it, the bird. Somehow I got it in my head, he loved puffins. Now I don't recall how. I saved my own money for it and was so proud. He was confused when I gave it to him, but he wore that shirt till it fell apart. Your dad tried. My daughter bought a Justin Bieber ornament for her dad one Christmas when she was little. She picked it out herself because he loved Justin Bieber. He didn't have a clue who he was, but he hung that ornament up every year on the tree. That's so sweet. My dad came to me one day beyond excited and told me he'd found a new book by my favourite author. Put it in my hands, looked at it, grinned from ear to ear, told him how happy I was, I loved it and gave him a big kiss. My mother watched the whole thing, said nothing and walked away with me. Together we took my old copy of this book out of my bookshelf and replaced it with the fancy new edition with a different cover that my dad had bought for me. I was happy. I loved it. Because I loved him and I loved that he tried so hard to make me happy. OP, your ungrateful self needs to go to the concert. This. Can't you be gracious, OP, to make your father feel that you appreciate his gift? Tell him to go with you so that you can both suffer it together and look back on this as one of the things in the future. I, 34 female, have a golden retriever, Max. He's been with me for 7 years and he's more than a pet, he's family. My fiancé, Tim, 37 male, recently moved in with his tween daughter, Emily. Emily is severely allergic to dogs. Not the take a Benadryl and you're fine kind, she breaks out in hives and has serious breathing issues. Tim knew I had Max from the start, and when we were dating he swore it wouldn't be a problem because they didn't live with me. But now that they've moved in, it's a constant issue. Emily's allergy flares up every time she's here, and now Tim's demanding I rehome Max for her safety. I've suggested every compromise I can think of. Keeping Max out of her room, constant deep cleaning, investing in air purifiers, even boarding Max part-time when Emily is over. But none of this is good enough. Tim says I need to put Emily first and get rid of Max completely. He also made it clear that if I don't, we might need to rethink the wedding. I told him flat out that I was not rehoming Max. I love Tim and Emily, but Max is family, and I'm not dumping him like an old piece of furniture. Tim says I'm selfish and not ready to be a stepmom. His family has piled on, saying I'm prioritizing a dog over a child, and now I'm the villain of the week. My friends are split, some agree with me, others think I'm being heartless. Everyone's the idiot here, minus daughter and dog, for getting yourselves in this mess. You all were both kind of delusional to think this wouldn't be an issue, to be honest. Like, would you date someone with a kid if you were staunchly child-free? No, unless you're either an idiot or cruel, you'd find someone that matches your life. There was never going to be a happy compromise when her allergies were that bad. You both should have known that. You both should be rethinking marriage as you aren't compatible. Think the onus for this goes squarely on Dad's shoulders here. He sounds like a narcissistic idiot, or they didn't date long. Kids and pets, two major things that should always be discussed. He knew his kid's allergies. If he gave a crap about his daughter, he wouldn't date anyone with a dog. If he was empathetic, he'd understand a dog is not a throw pillow you dump or rehome. Honestly, my gut tells me this is far from the first red flag moment. Hope this OP realizes there's no rush to find their person, doesn't give away their dog, and tells fiancé to keep working on his finding a mommy to babysit his kid. I, 30 male, have been married to my wife, 29, for a few years now. We had one child, a young grammar schooler. As anyone who's been through supporting a postpartum spouse knows, it can be very hard at times. At the time, I had to come to a hard stance when it came to the way she spoke to me. It all started about a month after the baby was born. At first, I could see the exhaustion and did everything I could to support her, picking up the slack around the house, comforting her during the late-night feedings, and being there when she needed me. I told her I'd do anything to make this easier for her. However, over time, the tone of her words started to change. I'd hear things like, "You don't understand what I'm going through," or "You never help me with anything." Even when I was doing everything I could to be a supportive partner, she treated me like a failure. One night, after spending hours soothing the baby, I sat down for a moment of rest. I'd barely sat down when she snapped at me, "Why are you always so useless? I'm doing all of this alone and you're just sitting there." I felt my blood boil. If that wasn't my wife, I swear I would have done something bad. This was it. I couldn't just sit there and take it anymore. So I looked at her and said, "I won't be spoken to this way." I didn't raise my voice, didn't try to explain myself, I just said it firmly. She started crying. I was used to her crying over things and comforting her, but something about that particular moment made me feel that I was being emotionally manipulated. I'd been giving and giving and giving, and yet somehow it wasn't enough, and I certainly wasn't going to accept being berated anymore. So I looked her in the eye and said, "The way you're treating me reflects your character, not mine. Your nasty behaviour is not something I'm going to tolerate. I won't allow you to make me feel bad about myself or like I'm the problem. I'm doing my best, but I won't let you treat me like this anymore." She started sobbing, telling me how unsupportive I was, how I didn't get it, how she just needed someone to hold her. She couldn't elicit any empathy at that moment, she only felt contentious pity. So I walked away. I didn't yell, I didn't argue, I just removed myself from the situation. I went for a drive. I didn't engage with her until she could calm down. When I came back, I made it clear that I wouldn't tolerate being treated that way. I didn't blame her for feeling overwhelmed, but I drew a line in the sand when it came to how I deserved to be spoken to. I did this several more times every time she spoke badly with me or disrespected me, and she broke down in tears because I simply used to say, "I won't be spoken to that way." I didn't back down. I stayed silent, standing firm in my decision. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me. Her emotional state didn't give her the right to treat me poorly. I showed her by my actions that her behaviour would meet nothing but my indifference. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me upset or begging her to change. There's a part of me that worries she'll resent me for this. She eventually did stop after a while and became more or less normal. I think all those postpartum months I conditioned her behaviour by consistently refusing to acknowledge or react. I refused to give her the satisfaction she could get any rise out of me. We recently had another argument and she cried to me again, saying that I never let her open up to me. I wasn't gentle enough, I wasn't forgiving enough, and I was being judgmental, cold, mean, and harsh. I didn't know what to say. I just told her that my putting that habit in her was a deliberate attempt to ward off the bad ways she spoke to me, which made her even more angry and upset. She was crying the whole time and said I'd abandoned her during the most vulnerable time of her life. I wasn't a good husband to her, and she didn't feel emotionally safe with me. So am I the idiot for conditioning my wife into keeping her behaviour in check? You come across as proud, almost bragging about supposedly conditioning your wife. It's cringeworthy. The way you've gone about it has most likely created resentment and distrust in the relationship. There's nothing wrong with setting healthy boundaries in a relationship, especially if you feel you're being mistreated, but I don't think we're getting the full picture from you. You should have suggested counselling and therapy so that a professional could guide you both in healthy communication and ways to navigate possible postpartum depression. Right? You don't condition your spouse. You sound like you think she's a dog or a lab rat you're toying with. Did you put a newspaper down for her too? Unbelievable. You are the idiot, and I really hope she gets her strength back and leaves you. Let's not forget how he said, "If she wasn't my wife, I would have done something bad." Like, dude, do you want a medal for that? That's a really shady thing to say, and picking up the slack 1 month after she had a baby? Jesus, words have meanings, and your choice of words reflects on what you think. You make it sound like she was being lazy, wasn't doing her job properly, and you had to step in, and she should be grateful that you stooped down to help her. He pointed out he supported her. Does that mean he expected her to still do all the house chores and he just helped instead of doing them himself while she had just given birth? He does indeed sound horrible, even by the way he phrased things. OP, you do sound cold, mean, and yes, you sound like a crappy boss, not a loving partner. I share custody of my young grammar schooler son. My ex-girlfriend and I have been separated for about a year now, and our kid spends a pretty even amount of time in each household. She just recently got a new boyfriend who's serving time in prison, not sure for what. She refuses to tell me anything about the man. Not my business. I couldn't care less what she decided to do in her love life. However, today my son brings up that he's been talking to his mom's friend on the phone when he's over at her house. I was hesitant to bring this up with her because she tends to be pretty volatile in general, but especially when I mention things our son has brought to my attention that I wasn't present for. But when I asked her about it, she hesitantly admitted they'd had a few conversations. I told her that I didn't feel comfortable with this because my son is young and impressionable, and I don't want him looking at current convicts as role models or people to look up to. To this, I was met with, "You should trust me, I'm his mother. I'm not going to let anything bad happen to him." I repeated that I'm not comfortable with my son being on the phone with inmates. She told me she's going to do what she wants when he's with her, and I'm just going to have to live with it. Am I wrong for wanting to set that boundary? Am I overstepping as a parent? Not the idiot. You should trust me, I'm his mother. Doesn't hold much weight when he's letting a young grammar schooler talk to someone in prison. Kids are like sponges at this age, and this isn't something they need to be exposed to right now. If she doesn't compromise, you might need to get a mediator involved because this is a parenting issue, not just a her time, her rules thing. You are the idiot. This is your business. You need to step up and protect that child from his mother's clearly lousy lifestyle choices. You need to get off your rear and get proactive. Got his name? Get his name if you don't already have it. His court records are public records. They typically don't put people in prison without a good reason.